There's been an attempted murder at a convenience store in Yorkshire. One man has been shot. He's in hospital, undergoing emergency care.
Good evening, CSI Control.
Sarah Victor 10, go ahead.
The jobs that we get called to tend to be the more horrific cases, things like murder, attempt murder, jobs involving firearms, kidnap and extortion.
Yes, I have got a CSI available.
Martin Jefferson is the on-call area forensic manager this evening.
The CSI or CSI supervisor will manage that crime scene. They'll get their scene suits on, and then it'll be a matter of going in and making an initial assessment. Because up until that point we will have witness accounts. We might, if we're lucky, have a bit of CCTV. We'll have information from the first attending officers, and that will most likely be it. So we need to know exactly what there is there. The evidence that we collect can be key to an investigation. It can identify a suspect, place a suspect at the scene. It can give us a sequence of events.
The CSIs are looking for anything alien to the scene. In this case, that means ballistics evidence.
Is there a shotgun cartridge, for example, on the floor?
We'll get a few down here as well. That's part of the warding. Yeah. It's just to get a bit of a sample. Are there any more up there? Yeah, that's part. Yeah, you can actually see the shot on that. Got a few extra bits. Yeah.
You saw me down here, I don't know how, sorry.
Is there evidence of pellet damage or projectile damage, depending what kind of firearm you've got? And they'll be feeding all that back to me.
Well, there's plenty of bits of shot, isn't it? So that's good. Yeah, that one. Yeah. From there, you
outside.
can see the you can
I mean,
see
it's they've gone in it and then through it and out one side.
Yeah, and the leaves and then that.
The CSIs are joined at scene by a member of the imaging unit, who arrives to forensically retrieve the shop's CCTV.
Yeah, wouldn't mind seeing this one again.
I can slow it down.
It's quite low.
Yeah.
He comes in more than I thought, actually.
And then afterwards, just want to see if that's when you go.
Right, okay. Just keep it playing.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Unless he's done it and angled it upwards from here.
Yeah.
He must have been stood right there then.
Yeah.
The CCTV video shows you something's come out of that weapon, but is it something that could have caused a lethal injury, or is it something else? Is it almost a blank fire that you just see a flash from? We've got to link any damage, any projectiles, ballistic evidence back to identify that individual within that scene and what type of firearms used.
So the system's up in the ceiling space, so I'm going to take the hard drive out. I'll then take it back to our lab and secure it for later viewing. I'll clip a small section when I get back, and I'll be leaving that for investigators in the morning. It's probably the early team that come on, and then they can run with that.
Pull through it.
Well, that's what I was wondering. Yeah, whether it's from inside or outside.
Yes, we've found the drive. Yes, it's detected. So that's everything from that CCTV system. I'll try download that now for you, if that's easier. If you guys want it tonight. Alright mate, cheers. Everyone's got a TV, everyone's consuming media, but you know, you scratch under the surface of that and there's a lot of stuff underneath, a lot of forensic data that you can use in investigations.
Detective Superintendent Emma Winfield has been assigned this case. She is given a walkthrough of the scene. She'll meet with the area forensic manager to develop a forensic strategy around this attempted murder.
But it appears to touch him. And then you can see some damage on things. victim's blood going through.
Yeah. How far back does the blood go? Oh, it goes all the way through, yeah.
Yeah, and when we know suspect's not come inside, so it's all victim's blood.
Yeah.
We're linked in with HMET throughout the inquiry. They see us as an intrinsic part of their investigation.
Both the suspect and the gun are still at large. They need to be found, and quickly.
There's always that chance that they may come back. They may think they've got unfinished business.
The offence is attempt murder and possession of a firearm with intent to endanger life.
It's the morning after the shooting, and detectives are gathered to hear Senior Investigating Officer Emma Winfield's account of the scene.
So, today...
She was given a forensic walkthrough of it by one of the crime scene investigators on the night of the incident.
Do we know if he's got back in there? Just still trying. I was notified at 23 minutes past 6 last night that it appears to touch him. Information that the male had blast injuries to the right side and then pepper injuries to his shoulders.
You can see some damage on these. That's the victim's blood.
Circumstances are that last night our victim has gone up to the store. He is friends with the store's owner's son. There's been some other people there and that they've been laughing and joking. Short time later, the door was open. Our victim has been stood at the end of the counter. Suspect, described as wearing a balaclava and dark clothing, is seen to be with what's described as a long barrel shotgun, makes words to the effect of "do you want it?" and fires twice. How far back does the blood go? Oh, it goes all the way through, yeah.
Yeah, and when we know suspect's not come inside, so it's all victim's blood.
There's a lot of blood spatter at the scene, which is forensically assessed and photographed.
Through January and everything, can't we?
From its patterns, a forensic biologist will be able to work out the sequence of events in the immediate aftermath of the shooting.
The only person hit has been our victim. It looks as though from the CCTV that he's probably stumbled back into a wine display. Right, because he seems to run that way, doesn't he? He then goes round back of one of the other aisles and into like a storage area and a toilet area where he's losing his blood.
For some things, and then it's come down there as well.
And then he goes out of the property towards that car, which is parked outside on the path, tries to get in there. There's some blood splattering outside, he's unable to get in that car, and then ARVs come. Our victim is at LGI currently with officers. He'll say that it didn't believe he was the intended victim. He's got no issues with anybody. We'll assess today whether or not we can do a video interview with him or a statement. Looking at the scene, and that area of the shop is quite tight. Whoever was in that direction was at risk of being hit.
At this stage in the investigation, all detectives have to go on is a claim that the incident could be related to the theft of an e-bike.
As we're starting to find out further information, and the circumstances are that a white male and blonde-haired female went into the shop on Thursday making inquiries about an e-bike which had been stolen and was concerned that it had been outside. The store's owner will say that he put his son on the phone so they could speak directly about the bike. He'd warned him about he didn't want any trouble at his shop, and then the male has returned on the Friday about a similar time, about 4 to 5 o'clock.
But how has this led to attempted murder? Detectives begin reviewing the shop's CCTV footage from the last week.
So the person that we've got coming into the store here with the black puffer jacket on, and then he has a conversation with the shop owner asking for his son's mobile number, which he then rings as he leaves the store. And this is supported by telecoms data that we've also obtained, that times in nicely with him making that phone call to the son.
The store's owner's son at 1706 got a call from number ending 57. The son has had a conversation with what he described as an unknown male and said he'd come down to the shop to sort it out. The son rang the male at 1729 to say he was at the shop, and about 10 minutes later, that's when balaclavaed male has turned up.
So the male just entering there, blurry camera, walks in, discharge, and then he's left the shop. So all that happens within 7 seconds. Walks out the store and goes off to the right, but we're unable to ascertain whether he gets into a vehicle at that point from that particular camera because it doesn't cover the street wide enough.
CCTV, there are CCTV opportunities, but apart from the shop, we were unable to secure that last night.
Teams are sent out to the area to gather as much CCTV as possible in a bid to track down where the shooter went after he left the shop, and even how he might have arrived.
A lot of the footage that we obtain will be from residential premises as we follow the potential routes that he could have taken. So we have a CCTV coordinator.
What about that junction?
Who will look at what we call pinch points. So we will look at junctions and obtain footage from there. 2 cameras. And see if we can see an individual on foot or look for vehicles that pass at what we would deem a relevant time, as in leaving the store. And then we would track and trace.
And there's no bike seen there.
Householders are not required to show their CCTV footage to the police without a court order, and many who do have such footage do not hand it over.
There's definitely nothing else that looks out on here.
We go back up the street. It looks like there's 2 gunnels either side.
We're adjacent to where the firearms incident has taken place, and now further information. We're now tracking a gentleman on a mountain bike. At the moment, it's unidentified. So this house gives us a much clearer view of this area here, which will hopefully go forward and assist the investigation.
But can you get through that house?
With our laptops out on the ground, we're able to view the material we've obtained, which will hopefully give us a direction of travel. Oh, wait a minute. That's your bike. Right, this firearms discharge has taken place. Now we're bike going back. That's either someone running away scared or someone who's committed that offence. Actually, that's much faster, I think, as it goes away than what it was as we're coming in. If it's one of the same people, it's from a distance. It looks like a dark figure, which would match up with the dark figure of the clothing of the suspect who's committed this crime.
If he comes through here, I'm not sure whether he can get through there, so he might have to go round.
You don't have any holes or gaps in the fence?
No.
Just on the right hand side here. What we do know from other people who have downloaded footage and started to view footage, they have picked up a mountain bike on their footage as well. So we know it's been captured at other locations away from here, and we now need to start piecing together what they've downloaded to make sure that we are on with the same bike, because there's plenty of offshoots of roads around here where that bike could have gone.
We've got him on a bike going up that way, so we've got him initially coming out of there. That comes out.
That's the only one now that we've not got downloaded. Right, so we can have a look at that and see what's what. All right, buddy.
While the CCTV inquiries continue, the investigation gets its first breakthrough. The theft of the e-bike, coupled with the phone calls to the shop owner's son asking about the whereabouts of the bike, puts a name in the frame.
So at 0058, I declared a suspect for this offence. My rationale being there'd been some intelligence, there'd been a burglary whereby electric e-bike had been stolen and £500.
The naming of a suspect enables the forensics team to deploy more of their resources.
Put a call into imaging, and the plan drawers were requested to plot everything within that scene. So they attend with 3D laser scanner and they run that within the scene to plot what is present. From the CCTV footage, you see the suspect in the door. So with the plan drawing, the hope is that we can identify or certainly give an indication of height and build for that individual from the scale of the door.
Just doing a 3D scan now, and what this is going to do is going to fire a laser beam. As it bounces back, it retrieves the physical data of the building, and then as we move along, it generates a 3D model, and then from this we can provide 2D floor plans. We've also been asked to potentially look at a height analysis. We combine the 3D data with the CCTV still imagery. We overlay them on top of each other and try to calculate the height of the suspect. It just gives us another piece of information to say that this suspect is this person at this particular moment in time.
It's a SIM card.
The SIM card will show when the suspect used the phone, and this could help the investigating team track the suspect's movements in the days leading up to the attack.
Where's this? This is in-game.
SIM cards are here.
Between the scene and this address. It's just great for pre-planning, isn't it, Rob?
The victim remains in hospital at Leeds General Infirmary.
I've just come back from seeing the victim in hospital. He has had an operation to move some pellets from the side of his face and jawline, and is due to have another operation to remove further pellets, and he has nerve damage in his lip. He's in a lot of pain, and he's obviously quite distressed and sort of traumatised really about what's happened to him.
I organised the victim to be photographed at hospital to show the extent of his injuries, where he's been shot, how far the shot has spread. So from that, ballistics expert can tell us approximately how far away the fire has been stood. Forensic pathologist can potentially have a look at them and tell us how close to death our victim may have come, having been shot at close range with a shotgun. In this case, the victim sustained injuries to the right side of his face, shoulder and neck, and with a shotgun injury, what you get is multiple pellet strikes, because within your shotgun cartridge you've got a lot of shot. You don't just have one bullet like you would in a handgun. It's multiple pieces of shot that disperse. The fact we've got the CCTV showing it's a close range shot fired directly at an individual, and then the individual's injuries are to the head and neck and shoulder. You can't expect anything than killing someone if you're pointing a weapon at them. He's been very fortunate to survive this.
When he enters the store the first time, which is some 50 minutes before the discharge, you can see that there's a female in there with 2 young children. And having watched the footage from the shop for a period throughout that day, it's a very busy shop with a number of families, young children, people of all ages entering the store. Then what we've got is a male with no regard for who could be in there, and within 7 seconds is discharged a firearm that could have caused serious injury to a number of people. So it just showed a complete lack of concern for the safety of any individuals that would have been in that shop.
Suspect has previously been linked to firearms investigations, but he hasn't been convicted. Mr. Chesters has authorised a firearms response.
Firearms officers have been dispatched to the streets to try and find the suspect. They weren't at any of their known addresses, so the team have used police intelligence to track the suspect's movements. The suspect is spotted travelling in a car with someone else at the wheel. suspect has been identified in the convenience store attack, where the victim was shot at point-blank range. Along with another person, he is detained by firearms officers when their car is stopped and arrested on suspicion of attempted murder.
The vehicle was located whilst it was moving. It was stopped by the firearms officers. They will remove them from the vehicle. They'll be handcuffed, transported to a custody suite. He'll be given his rights, his entitlement to free, independent legal advice, and then we'll look to interview them today once they've been photographed, fingerprinted, booked in, and their clothing seized for forensic processing.
With the suspect now in custody, the forensics team are examining the car he was arrested in for any evidence that could link him to the offence.
So any vehicles relating to suspects or suspects' associates will get recovered to one of the West Yorkshire recovery garages, where CSI will photograph the vehicle.
That could be from the shop, maybe. A phone number on the back, so that could be worth seizing. Maybe that phone numbers could be in relation to the offenders. It could be fingerprinted.
We will also be looking for mobile phones.
Documentation about a phone to be cut off.
We'll be looking at any clothing within that car that links back to the suspect at the scene.
Looks like some woolen gloves or a balaclava that could be in the rear of front passenger seat. So I'll just photograph the location and then we can seize them. Obviously look under the boot compartment as well, see what's hiding under there. Back of seats, under car mats.
We'll be doing GSR tapings, so that's gunshot residue, any receipts to help us track back movements. It depends how it's linked to the suspect and any of his associates.
A receipt dated the morning of the offence. It's got a time and date on there, so that will be helped for CCTV inquiries. I located a black night trainer that was on the rear seat as well, so that'll go for DNA to locate an offender. I've packaged with the sole up just in case we might have got footwear evidence from the scene to link it.
On the same day as the vehicle is being examined, CSIs are also at an address associated with the suspect, where they're known to stay.
When a suspect's been arrested, the suspect's custody clock starts ticking for how long they're going to be within custody before they're either released or charged. So within that time, we are under pressure to recover or certainly identify evidence which may link that suspect to our crime scene and the incident itself. So the examination of suspect address or suspect vehicle, we will try to get completed whilst that suspect is in custody, because you may find the firearm that's been used in the offence in their vehicle, or you may find clothing at their address that is similar to or matches that seen in CCTV footage, which can help the investigation team with going to CPS for charging decisions.
So first of all, I'm just going to go around and have a look before I start taking any pictures or anything. I'm having a look in the washing machine to see if anything's been recently washed that might match description that we've got from any CCTV, but they're empty. Just have a quick look in the cupboards to see if there's anything out of the ordinary that might have been hidden away or stashed, like any phones or weapons or anything like that. I think this is the suspect's room, so I'm going to be a little bit more careful where I tread. There's a potential that there might be a weapon in here, so. Quite a lot of money there, maybe like $2,000. Yeah, it's quite a lot of money to have in your side table, isn't it? I mean, if he's got any links to sort of like drugs or something, then it could be relevant.
Is that like a charger for an e-bike, maybe?
The police's theory is that the shooting is linked to the theft of an e-bike belonging to the suspect.
So I found a charger in a backpack in a wardrobe, and it might charge an e-bike, which might prove that this person had an e-bike at one point. But I think there was some sort of dispute over possession of an e-bike, or someone had stolen it. So that's why we're seizing it.
Forensic investigators will be working at the address for a number of hours. Meanwhile, the suspect is in custody, waiting to be questioned. But there's a potential problem in the investigation that they will have to solve very quickly.
Can you just state your name and date of birth, please?
The suspect has been arrested with a plaster cast on his foot. But the shooter on the shop CCTV isn't wearing one. The police need to establish what happened to him and when.
So they've stopped the car, we've got them both at roadside, they're both arrested. Forensic lifted the car.
Right.
He's got a fresh bottle.
Right. I'll chase up CCTV as soon as we can for an image of them before. Morning, Jono.
Oh, morning, Steve. You all
How
right?
are you, pal?
Fine.
Have we managed to locate him in the hospital with his pot on?
Yes, so we know the discharge is at 17:50.
Yep.
We've got a sighting of him walking normally, pot-free, at 20:28. And then we've got this footage from the hospital. We should see, there she is, running across, entering the hospital to sort of like get a wheelchair for him.
Ah, right, so she's taking him to hospital?
Yeah.
I wonder how he's done that.
I've no idea. We'll obviously obtain medical notes and see what the reason being is, but...
Yeah, at least it clears it up, because at first it's obviously the thought
so there
that
she
it
is.
can't have been him because he's got a pot on his leg,
No,
but now we
that's right.
clearly know it's sometime after.
While the forensic searches continue, detectives go through the evidence they already have to put to the suspect and the person he was travelling with when arrested. They've assembled for an interview strategy meeting.
If I go through what I've got as a key point and just make sure that we're all in agreement in this room. The main reason we've got to the suspect is through telecommunications and then CCTV. We've got the purchase of the SIM card. We've got CCTV footage of that purchase, and it is the suspect that is buying that card.
So you can say on that first interview to him, you bought that SIM card, you've registered that for it with you, you've made those phone calls, and let's see what he has to say.
Detectives want to challenge the suspect about his movements in the 2 days leading up to the shooting.
I'll just go through what I've got for the CCTV.
On the 10th of November, Craig, we see him approaching the direction of the shop, and then he enters the store, him only. And whilst in the store, he can be seen to have a conversation.
And then after that, the suspect comes into the shop, and then he leaves the shop with this burner phone to his ear. And this is when we think the call has been made. At 5:50 and 35, suspect enters the shop. 5:50 and 38 seconds, weapon is discharged. 5:50 and 42, suspect seen leaving the shop. And all we can say really is that obviously the clothing's different, but the height, build, etc. to us at this moment in time looks similar. Obviously we'll need to do some more work on that. Are you happy with that?
Yeah, I've put that to him.
It will appear that from timings, he may have come on a bike, but we're currently tracking that.
Because when he goes for the SIM card on the 3rd, it's that a black mountain bike, isn't it?
Yeah.
The team has used CCTV and telecoms, the evidence that's immediately available, in a bid to get the suspect to charge with the CPS. But it will be the forensic evidence they are currently gathering that will help to build and cement the case.
Yes, it does.
Right.
Listen, we need to make sure we brief search teams as well. We got some information, Craig, that said he was staying at some other address we weren't aware of. So that's currently got CSI going through it, and Pulsar will be going to that address. It's relatively close to the scene of the shooting. It's whether or not you want to drop that in on interview that we're currently looking at that address. It might elicit a response.
The Pulsar are police search advisor. They are licensed search officers, so they're specifically trained to search scenes. An SIO can ask them to search for whatever is required for that investigation. So it could be something, say, as small as a micro SD card to firearm ammunition. If it is in a room, they will find it. CSIs don't search for items that are hidden or secreted, but we're not searching under carpets, for example, or within wall cavities, things like that.
The police search teams look for any items that might have been used in the shooting, or that could suggest a motive. This evidence will then be forensically packaged and recovered, and sent for forensic testing.
So we'll be looking for the clothing as described by witnesses, which at present is a black balaclava, black gloves, black and green tracksuit, and a black body warmer.
It's a good shout at me then. You can see the 2 front bubbles, can't you? Yeah. Got 2 distinct sort of bubbles on the front part of the footwear. In this bedroom, which was suspected as a suspect's bedroom, the only footwear that sort of matches is this pair here. It's got 2 sort of bubbles at the front part of the foot. So from the CCTV footage, when he's actually doing the job, it's a grey hoodie underneath a black puffer jacket, because there's a load of grey hoodies in there of various different shades.
I think it's a grey hoodie underneath.
Yeah.
This interview is being digitally, visually, audio recorded.
See these more, on the side of vehicles. So it's magnetic. Stick it on the side of your car, and obviously you can transport whatever you want inside it.
Can you just state your name and date of birth for me, please?
Prison letters making reference to fucking the police, fuck the judge, fuck the system, fuck the government, fuck the governor.
The offence I've been investigating is an attempt murder.
I don't know. Yeah, so that's could be that, could it? Not where else with. Yeah, so that's that one.
And also mentioned the potential theft of an e-bike.
So the grey hoodie under the big black coat.
Yeah. It's hard to tell the shading in the grey though, it's like... You look at that. It's hard to tell how light that is because of the chalk lighting. It's just grey.
Forensic testing of these items will be key for this case, as the suspect is currently refusing to answer questions in his police interviews.
Have you already had a shotgun in your possession, or have you had to go somewhere to pick that up? Where do you go after leaving the store?
This was our second interview. The first interview was a non-challenge interview, so we don't put any evidence to him, it's just general chat with him.
Would you say that's yourself who was in the store there?
We've gone back in with a second interview, and on this interview we've shown him CCTV footage from inside the shop of the actual offence, and we've read statements from the witnesses who were all in the shop at that time. Once again, during this interview, he's not commented.
Can you tell me somewhere else that you might have been at 1750s that I can go and find that proves that you were not the person the balaclava tied in the shotgun?
Doesn't really want to be there. It's just a lot of looking away. He knows what he's saying, he knows what he wants to answer. He knows he's going to no comment. As you can see with him there, is just his head, he's not interested.
Overnight, news has come through from the CPS that the charges the police were pushing for have finally been approved.
I'm pleased to say through hard work and efforts got a charge for attempt murder and possession of a firearm with intent to endanger life. Section 16A of the Firearms Act was charged in the early hours of this morning. It will be remanded for court.
But for the charge to stand up in court, the hunt for forensic evidence continues.
It's a great result for the team. They've put in a lot of hours. The hard work's paid off. They know as well as I do, having been in this position a number of times, that this is where the real work starts, in generating the evidential proof, along with the guidance from our area forensic manager, submitting things that we think were suitable for forensic return, gunshot residue or contact with any area that we think that our suspect's been.
A suspect has been charged with attempted murder and possession of a firearm. The forensics and investigative teams are working around the clock, gathering evidence to secure a conviction. Crime scene investigators are currently searching a property connected to the suspect. A number of items are seized, including a mobile phone, smartwatch, and clothes. These will be taken for digital and forensic testing. With the suspect remanded in custody, the investigating team continues to track his movements before and after the shooting.
This morning looked at priorities around scenes, travel of motor vehicles, travel of suspects, so those CCTV trawls are still covering that sort of extensive areas where we know they've been.
Right, what footage have we got on that main road?
So, this is the bike going past, going.
Yeah. Seems like car's still following it. It's not exactly breaking speed, is it?
The route by the bicycle has gone this way.
Yeah.
It's already been established that the shooter used a bike to travel to and from the crime scene. Now, detectives have discovered a blue car that appears to be travelling in convoy with the bike.
We've identified the bike. We've also seen some footage that seems to show a car following the bike. Dark blue though, yeah?
It's metallic.
Yeah. So now what we're trying to establish from footage from other premises, whether the car does follow the bike and what direction it goes once it's past the bike, as the guy gets off the bike and goes into the shop, discharges the firearm. So you got the bike, headlights still on, and they followed the bike, and then we'll try and get the best shot of the vehicle to try and identify and make a model.
The car and the bike are both seen outside the property connected to the suspect, where he has a room, which has already been searched.
Please, people, car. Please.
But there's still work to be done on where the car, soon identified as a blue Dacia Duster, goes next. And all hope lies on some CCTV showing a car that looks similar on a different part of the route.
If you look at all the other cars here, they're all in silver.
Yeah, rear windows are a different shape on that as it is to that as well. Look at it. It's more slopey, is that back one. It's not the same car, it's different wheels.
Back to the bike.
Start again. Still got the bike. I would suggest now that we've been in this situation where we are and we've lost that bottom road, that both teams now, including yourself, goes and hammers that area.
It's a setback. The wheel trim, car window and rear bonnet don't match. It's not the same car. But it's not long before there's a breakthrough.
I've just been looking on the ANPR cameras in the area for the last month, and I have just suddenly come across the vehicle that would be the potential vehicle.
ANPR cameras give detectives a number plate to work with. It proves that the blue Dacia Duster on the CCTV is registered to someone linked to the suspect.
From the ANPR pictures we've viewed, it matches the description of that vehicle. Craig, how long do you estimate for them warrants? So the plan is those two are going to be upgraded to suspects for assisting an offender. We're looking at getting warrants for both of them.
It's thought that this car could have been used to transport the shotgun to and from the attack. That's why it was travelling in convoy with the bike.
The plan of action is we'll get warrants for both their addresses this evening. Firearms officers will go to the address to get them both in, lock down the addresses to search and recover the Dacia Duster for us to search in the morning.
Once the warrants are executed and the car is impounded, the forensic examination begins.
Particularly looking for items for DNA to link people to the vehicle, the clothing that's been worn by the suspect in the shooting, and a fingerprint exam. I've removed the items that I don't have the techniques to fingerprint here. They need to go to the lab. And next I'm going to fingerprint the inside of the car and the outside of the car. When I'm doing my fingerprint exam, for me that means starting in one area, moving from top to bottom, because that's the way the powder falls. I'm also going to fingerprint the bottles that I've removed from the car to do the DNA recovery from. That's to link suspects potentially to the vehicle and to the items within the vehicle, because we believe this vehicle has been used in the commission of a crime. When I've been doing my fingerprint exam, I've found some glove marks on the door in this area, and they're of significance because the intelligence we've got is that the suspect was wearing gloves at the time of the offence, and then he's potentially come to this car to put the shotgun inside the car. So glove marks up here, potentially as he's opening and closing the door. So I'm using the natural light to see the shine of the powder because it's a metallic powder, and I've found some ridge detail on the bottle. So what I'm going to do now, I'll take some general photographs and I'll put my fingerprint labels on, and then I'm going to lift the ridge detail using my lifting tape. That gets mounted onto an acetate with the details of my exhibit. That gets sent to our Identification Bureau. They'll then be able to search that against the national database to see if we can get some suspects back, and then hopefully suspect details will progress the case.
This bit shows the push bike, which we believe that is on to go to the shop to do the discharge. And as that sets off, you'll see the same blue Dacia Duster.
And this address, unless it's all...
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
It's been decided that also will come afterwards to do their search, and their search techniques are very thorough. I'm looking for things that I might find in places that I might not be able to get to.
The police search advisor is briefed by the CSI.
The suspect has left and arrived on foot. He's then been seen to approach this vehicle, and it's believed this vehicle is the one that's been used to transport the shotgun both before and after the incident.
And then the next bit of footage that we've got of the Dacia. So this location is near to a linked address. You'll see the blue Dacia park up, and then two males get out of that vehicle. So he gets out of the passenger side, and the clothing he's wearing matches with what he was wearing the first time he goes into the shop.
Yeah.
And then you'll see the male get out the driver's side, who was a lot bigger male.
A firearms dog searches the vehicle before the police search advisors. The dog looks for firearms, ammunition, or any component parts of this type of weapon. The dog pays particular attention to the back seat, which could mean there is something there or has been there previously. A manual search then begins, which results in some clothes and bottles of liquids being put aside, but nothing is seized. The car search ends with no clothing or weapons found to directly connect the car to the attack. And the associates linked to the offender are saying no comment.
We've done 3 interviews with each, both shown the footage from the CCTV that we collected, and both have not commented on each interviews to everything. If anything, I had a bit of a smirk when he watched the discharge aspect of it, but No, nothing at all.
With suspects refusing to disclose anything and the investigating team in need of hard evidence, a forensic strategy meeting is called.
Within the investigation, the area forensic manager or CSI supervisor will have forensic strategy meetings with the senior investigating officer or the investigation team to determine what items we have found at a scene and then which will be submitted for further examination. So in a firearms scene, one thing that we get there is gunshot residue or GSR. It's when the firearm is fired, the firearm disperses the gunshot residue and it will potentially cover the firer in GSR. In the CCTV footage, the suspect in that doorway is likely to have it on things like his jacket, gloves, on his face or mask, hoodie, pockets.
We've also got another pair of gloves from that car, haven't we?
A pair in the boot and a pair in the pocket on the back of the seat, isn't there?
There's his other trainer as well.
Yeah.
So we've got 4 potential GSR exhibits. We can submit 3 under one submission.
Right.
For me, I think I'd leave out the trainer just because he's worn it after he's been running in it. Any GSR most likely fallen off. The gloves are stored in the car, folded up. We know he's got black gloves on. So if they are the gloves worn, they'll be covered in GSR still.
The potential presence of gunshot residue, or GSR, is key to this investigation going the police's way. They need forensic evidence more than ever now. But there's a complication.
In terms of GSR, we've got a couple of issues with the fact that they might be shotgun users. There's that club.
During the searches of a bedroom the suspect is thought to use, shooting certificates from a local gun club have been found. These could potentially explain away any gunshot residue that might be detected, depending on when the visit took place.
Today I'm going up to the gun club in relation to some items that were seized during a dress search. The idea of the visit is to identify when this lad has actually visited the gun club, what he's done up there, the firearms that he would have had access to. We've initially made inquiries with you with regards to address where we've recovered these cards from.
The police want to confirm that the suspect and another person visited the club.
Are you aware of either of those names from the records that you hold?
Not at this point. We will have to look into it a bit more.
Whether or not he was left unsupervised at any point and may have actually taken any ammunition?
They're supervised all the time. But most people shoot 25, so we count them in, count them out. Because obviously it's quite important that people don't leave with live ammunition.
And also how many times he may have visited.
Let's get the records moving forward. I'll get the wife on it today. We'll help you as much or as little as you need.
Hopefully Mike here will give us a statement covering the details in relation to their visits. He's kind of suggesting to me that they might have visited on a couple of occasions.
Well,
this will enable us to show that he's actually been using firearms, maybe even using it as a practice method before actually going and doing this shooting.
In the investigation into the shooting, a suspect has been charged with attempted murder, but the gun used in this unprovoked attack has still not been located.
Have you already had a shotgun in your possession, or have you had to go somewhere to pick that up?
Criminals don't always hold guns, so they acquire them from other criminals that may hire that weapon out. So they borrow it to commit a specific offence, and then they return it to that person when that offence is committed. It makes it much more difficult because that weapon gets quickly passed back to its keeper, and so it disappears from the trail.
While the search for the gun continues, the Digital Forensics Unit begins its examination of a number of mobile phones recovered as part of the investigation.
Looks like this exhibit arrived to us damaged. So what we're gonna try to do is to do minor repairs. This one looks like it's actually bent, possibly has been damaged on purpose. So what we're trying to do is make sure this device is fully operational, and hopefully if I can get it to a working condition, they'll be able to get all the information from it, possibly evidence. So it looks like the device is charging well. So let's take a look inside. Motherboard is probably intact. Next step will be probably just replacing the screen and see we'll take it from there. As we don't have the correct pin, we will use advanced technique to acquire the data and to download this phone fully.
Once the digital forensic analysis of these devices is complete, it helps the investigating team to develop a picture of the suspect's movements and who he was in communication with.
The work I've done around identifying numbers for suspect, I'd look at were there any contact with, say, the suspect's number and the victim's number, who have they been contacting around the time of the offence. Then look at like the mass, has it travelled anywhere, like has he travelled from his home address to the place of the shooting, has he travelled back? If not, where's he gone after? Has he discarded a firearm somewhere? Where has he been? So you'd pull all that data together and end up producing a timeline of events. The suspect's phone was in contact with the shop owner's son, which is how the communication started when he said he'd meet him at the shop. The suspect's number was last in use at 6:10 and the shooting happened at 10:02. So 20 minutes after the shooting, it dropped, so no longer in use. 15 minutes after that, a new number has been inserted into the handset, and then that number is only in use for 2.5 hours before that's dropped as well. When you look at phone data, sometimes no usage in phone data is almost as critical as somebody overusing their phone. If he's gone to the shop, carried out a shooting, gone home, he's not going to be texting or ringing anybody, is he? It's like evident that he could possibly have gone and committed that shooting because he's not using his phone for a period around that time.
The phone data not only connects the suspect to the location of the shooting on the day in question, it also puts him in repeated contact with the person who was in the car with him when he was arrested and the people who owned the blue Dacia Duster immediately before and after the attack, helping to corroborate the CCTV evidence of their movements.
Craig has now got it at the bottom of here, and he's got it at the shop. What we've been trying to do is piece together the movements of the Dacia Duster from when it leaves at 16:51:07 to it going to the store, which we have now done. So the significance of this bit is at 17:10 outside the house, the footage on this clip shows no lights of any stationary vehicle outside that address. However, at 17:17 we now have a vehicle stationary outside that address with the headlights illuminated, and that vehicle remains stationary outside that address until 17:44. Significance of that is at 17:44 we've got a sighting of him on a push bike, and as he cycles off at the same time the stationary vehicle drives off, and that can be clearly seen on the footage, a metallic blue Dacia Duster heading in the same direction. This footage is important because what we're saying is that puts the bicycle, which we believe is on, and the Dacia Duster together minutes before the actual firearms discharge takes place.
Meanwhile, the shotgun wadding and pellets retrieved by CSIs from the convenience store are being tested by ballistics expert Andre Horn.
Shotguns can cause devastating wounds at close ranges, so they are definitely very lethal. If I can accurately determine the shot size, that will assist the police if they do recover any ammunition from a suspect to determine if it could have been the ammunition used in this incident. We have a couple of lead shot pellets. The size of the shot pellets is consistent with bird shot used for hunting. Because these are impact damage, I can't measure the diameter of the pellet, so we do it by weight. From my chart, we appear to be dealing with UK shot size 7.5.
Once the size of the pellets has been correctly identified, Andre moves on to the wadding.
This is an example of a shotgun cartridge with the part of the case cut away. That's the plastic wadding. Wadding is a buffer in a shotgun cartridge between the powder and the shot pellets. The wadding is expelled by the shotgun with all the shot pellets, and it usually travels a distance of, say, approximately 20 meters or so before it drops to the floor and the pellets continue traveling on. But wadding is important for us because we can use this to determine the gauge of the shotgun that was involved in the incident. It is impact damaged and it is slightly deformed, but I'm satisfied that it is 12 gauge in size. These are all pieces of a puzzle that help the police to put together evidence that would be required in court to prosecute someone.
There's also an important update on the suspect's visit to the local gun club.
We've made further inquiries with the gun club. The visit to the gun club was 12-18 months prior to the commission of this crime. There would never be any GSR issues in relation to them being able to say, well, the GSR that you may find on any clothing or skin is from that, because it is too far in the past.
A man has been shot at point-blank range in a convenience store in Yorkshire. The suspect has been charged with attempted murder. The investigation now switches to the search for gunshot residue, or GSR. With a number of items recovered during police and forensic searches being examined. This includes a black man bag. If gunshot residue is found on the bag, it will firmly place the bag in the same location as the gun and the suspect.
Firstly, taking a quality control sample, I will sample myself and the brown paper which we'll examine the item on. We analyse these if an item is positive to show that any GSR on the item hasn't come from us. So when I first put an item on the bench, I'll assess the item to see what I have. So I've got at least one pocket. Check it, because you don't want to open a bag and find ammunition in it. I've got an inside pocket and an inside zip pocket. In order to recover any GSR that was present, we use a device called a GSR stub that has a sticky carbon adhesive, and we'll dab this over certain areas of the item and put them into the scanning electron microscope to visualise and analyse for GSR.
Other items that are tested and photographed include a pair of joggers.
Assess what you've got.
And the GSR mini-tapes that were taken from the blue Dacia Duster when it was forensically analysed by the CSI.
The police force themselves this time have sampled the vehicle, and they've used a mini-tape, so it's this piece of acetate plastic with an adhesive on one end, and they've used that to sample certain areas of the vehicle. When we receive those, we have to cut the tapes down to enable them to go into the scanning electron microscope.
The GSR stubs will then be analysed on the scanning electron microscope.
Gunshot residue are very small particles that are produced when a primed ammunition is discharged in a gun. The particles have specific elements present in them, and to actually do the chemical analysis, we need a powerful microscope called the scanning electron microscope. Gunshot residue can deposit within about 3 meters of gunfire, but potentially further. So these gunshot residue particles can deposit on someone who might fire the gun, a close bystander, or other surfaces. So electrons are now being produced by the filament and will start to interact with the sample. Each of the samples that have been taken from the items in this case are analysed, and then the results are collated into a report, and I'll explain what the findings mean, whether there's gunshot residue there or not, and that report will be sent to the area forensic manager for West Yorkshire Police.
The GSR report forms part of a much larger package of evidence that the police are compiling. This package will be taken by the team to a pre-trial hearing, where all the evidence prepared by the prosecution will be assessed.
Prior to trial, we will have a pre-trial sitting at court, and the defence will argue that there's not sufficient to proceed to trial, and we'll argue that there's sufficient to put it before a jury, and that it shouldn't be down to barristers to argue whether it's continued or discontinued. The judge will have the final say on whether it gets discontinued at that point or whether we proceed to put it before a jury.
The GSR test results are in, and the laboratory report is being written. It reveals there was no gunshot residue found on the items sent for analysis. Despite this setback, the team are determined to do their best for the victim, and with the strength of the evidence they have as a whole, take it to trial.
When you look at the evidence, both pre-offence and post-offence, then there is sufficient for us to put it before a jury to decide whether the defendant is guilty.
The attempted murder is brought to trial, and the team believe they have a strong case.
The fact is, it's a really serious offence. A firearm has been used in public and somebody's been injured, so we would always push as far as we can for the victim.
It has taken 14 months to get to this point, and the jury has reached their verdict. For the victim, the closure they and their family wanted hasn't happened. And they all now have to try and come to terms with the fact no one has been held to account for what happened.
He is very down, he's very depressed, he's still coming to terms with what's happened to him, and I think that sort of the impact that it's had on him mentally will also take a long time for him to recover from. Yeah, he's just in fear, he's having nightmares, he's struggling to sleep, and just sort of overplaying what's happened in his mind continuously.
The victim has been left with PTSD and is no longer the happy, outgoing person they once were. The victim struggles with anxiety and has installed CCTV and guard dogs into his home. The incident hasn't just changed the victim's life, but the lives of their entire family, all of whom are finding it hard to accept what the victim has been through. next time.
West Yorks Police, what's the emergency?
Hello, mate. We've just found human remains.
It's got most of the thigh bone, it's got a kneecap.
I can see it now.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts at this stage? Are we thinking body dump there, or are we looking at potentially it's being brought to the site?
We still don't know whether we have just one body in the site or multiple bodies.
This will require the exchange of police data across countries' boundaries.
The hope, if they would find the bodies and that DNA would match, that would bring maybe a conclusion to this case.
That work from Forensics next Monday at 9. Later this week, with recollections from those who were in the courtroom in Preston, we examine the trial of Harold Shipman. That's brand new Thursday at 9. And see justice unfold with dramatic stories of people facing trial in The Accused, Guilty or Innocent. Stream now on My 5.